Well, any minute now, we are expecting to hear from U.S. Attorney for D.C. Jeanine Pirro, waiting to see what more she may reveal about the indictment of former Olympian David Hearn, who was arrested last month when he reached into the reflecting pool. An attorney representing Hearn said he was not aware yet of developments with the case since Hearn had previously received a citation. As we wait for Attorney Pirro, I do want to bring in CNN's Caitlin Polans, along with retired FBI Supervisory Agent Richard Kolko. You actually have some new details for us just in the last couple of minutes because you were able to look at some of the documents here.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing it now in the court's docket entries saying that David Hearn, he's being charged with the code that says you can't maliciously burn, destroy, or injure someone's property, a serious felony, because the way that the U.S. Attorney is looking at this, they're looking at the charge here as him hurting property that is a value of $1,000 or more. So that would be apparently the allegation that he was picking at or touching the reflecting pool bottom that had been peeling up as the Trump administration was trying to resurface.
And just remind us, Caitlin, what he said at the time, right? Why he was there, why he reached into the reflecting pool. This is also, sort of his life's work in many ways in terms of what he researches. So what does he say was happening in that moment?
Well, Hearn said that he was curious. He was going there and he was looking and he was curious about what was happening because a lot of people knew that the pool bottom was coming up. Right. Here's a little bit more about what Hearn was saying at the time.
I took my left hand glove off and reached down into the water and sort of felt the end and bent it around a little bit.
Now, Erica, we have to put this into the context, though, of what goes on with the Justice Department these days. Donald Trump, the president, had been out there on social media saying there should be a serious charge against him, something punishable by up to 10 years in prison. And now we are seeing the U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro choosing to make this a felony case and not how it had originally played out, which was a misdemeanor citation. He was just being handed by Park Police.
So, Richard, when you look at the way that this is playing out, right, we will get more details, obviously, once we hear from Jeanine Pirro. What does it say to you about the investigation?
That it's just begun. We all know that an indictment's fairly simple to get, getting to a grand jury in D.C., and Jeanine Pirro can control that very simply. We have this indictment. I'm not even actually familiar with that charge. That's an unusual one that I have not heard of before. But now it's the investigation part. They've got the investigation that they would have done talking to the law enforcement or National Guard or whoever saw him reaching into the pool and doing exactly what he did. That's part of the investigation. Then there's got to be some forensic evidence that has to take place. They'll go through that. They'll put it together, and they're going to have to see where it goes from there. But and then at the end of the day, well, I know the president's called for a very serious charge of 10 years. We'll have to see what happens in a proffer, when they sit down with Mr. Hearn, his attorney, and the prosecutors and see what they come up with.
There can be questions, especially when there are investigations that are well publicized, right, for certain events about how department resources are being used.
And also if the Justice Department was acting in a way of singling someone out that they wouldn't have otherwise, vindictively or selectively going to charge them.
Which sort of brings me to my question. I mean, do you see anything here in the details that we have at this moment that raises any sort of red flag for you?
Well, it's a high-profile name. I mean, everybody might be familiar with Olympic canoeing or Olympic kayaking, but this is a three-time Olympian, certainly a name that resonates throughout the sports community. And once you do a little digging into him, it's not just a tourist wandering around D.C. So it's certainly very interesting, and I'm sure he was shocked that he got that citation, which is now turned into a felony indictment.
Yeah. All right, stay with us. We're going to try to fit in a quick break here before we actually hear from Jeanine Pirro. So stay with us, everybody. Also